so great to have you. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I think first off, with any what any investor really wants to know, I think about a company, at least for me, is who is the person behind it, and are you the type of person that can lead this company into success? So, one thing I want to know is you founded Formation Metals less than a year ago, and it's already raised significant capital. Why should investors feel confident that you're the right guy for this project to lead it from exploration all the way to a value creating outcome?
You know what? Because I walk both sides of the street, right? So I'm a geo, which I think a lot of people hold against me sometimes. But I like to think that that gives me the opportunity to actually understand what we have and really understand our needs from a financial standpoint, right? Because I think a lot of teams that are led by very technical geos sometimes turn these things to research projects. I'm a business geo, right? Like I come from a family that's been around the capital markets since the 90s, been very successful. I cut my teeth understanding the more entrepreneurial side of these things. And so being a geo and an entrepreneur is why, you would want to invest in me, back me. And then honestly, that's what happened with Formation, right? We've been very successful this year with raising capital. Obviously very grateful to our anchor shareholders. Came to trade back in October at 5 cents. The stock has gone up to 42 cents, pulled, we're at 35, 36. And all in that journey, we've raised just shy of $7 million and, up to 50 cents a share. So, I mean, like, clearly, like that, I think you got to bet on the jockey. And I think I'm a pretty good jockey because I check off those boxes.
And so the company currently has about 5.5 million in working capital. How far will this treasury take you in terms of meters drilled and key exploration milestones?
Yeah, so I think we can drill about 15,000 meters with that, no problem, all while accomplishing, multiple property-wide exploration targets, right? So this is a very big land package with, obviously the gold is incredible, the historic resource on the property, that's our focus. We want to drill that project, really come to make, want to obviously make the resource current. Our vision here is to grow to 3 to 5 million ounces or bigger, but obviously, like that's the target that we see very comfortably with the work done historically. But there's a lot of opportunity here with virgin ground that was never explored in the past. Obviously, because of gold prices being what they were in the 90s and 2000, 2010. And there's also, this is a great copper target here too, right? And so this is a polymetallic property. And with the treasury that we have, we'll be able to go drill this thing out. We think 15,000 meters very achievable. Really understand the resource, but also B, really explore new ground and make new discoveries at this project. And I think that's really going to be a real add-on to our exploration program here.
Yeah, so you mentioned 15,000 meters. I mean, the original plan was to drill, what was it, 2 to 4,000 meters, but the
Yeah,
finance has
yeah.
expanded the drill program.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to being fortunate, right time, I suppose, right? I mean, look, we came to trade. Market wasn't as hot as it is, it feels like today. Gold wasn't, obviously, we just broke $3,700.
Mhm.
Um, but we can't, you look, here's the thing. I think a lot of people aim very big and our view was, look, let's just tell the market what we're hoping to accomplish. And what we found along the way was there was a lot of demand for the project, right, for the company. And so we were able to continuously upsize our financings. And really, a big focus for us has been we want to show people we're intending on drilling, put the money into the ground. And so we're doing charity flow, right? And the purpose of flow through financings is specifically in the ground. So that, for us is a big thing. And so that's why we're able to, accomplish what we did. And, here we are from, go upsize from what, 2 to 4,000, yeah, to 15,000 meters. So funded, right? I think that's the key here, right? Because I think people often forget, yeah, you can say you want to drill 15, but can you pay for it? We can.
And you talk about a lot of demand for the project, and that's why you've been able to, raise this amount of money. The project has nearly 55,000 meters of historic drilling
Yeah.
already outlined and 900,000, yeah, 900,000 ounces.
Yeah.
What is your realistic target for this next phase, and how do you see this evolving over toward like a 3 to 5 million ounce goal?
Yeah, so look, we just started drilling. So the project was drilled. Agnico Eagle actually was the last company to drill the property, and they drilled it when it was $800 gold, right? And we're fortunate to get the opportunity at the current gold price to get to work on the project. There are two main zones on the property. There's 5 zones overall that have been discovered so far. The 2 zones are the A zone, the RJ zone. And the way we see it is the money we have right now will give us an opportunity to really look. This is the kind of project you want to put into production, right? It's a big multi-kilometer system, gold disseminated everywhere. Look, there's boring, sexy, 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 sexy is when you get 100 grams over a meter, 50 grams over 2 meters, and we have that. We do have high grade results at this project. We've got 48 grams over a meter. Like the RJ zone is a very nice zone. But to me, what's appealing about this project and what we can accomplish with the program we're developing right now is this is a boring, sexy project where we're hitting gold everywhere, right? Historically, some zones had, 84% of the holes came up with gold in them. And so that is, the kind of project I think you really want to drill because look, the mineralization starts at surface, big multi-kilometer strike, still to drill out here. And most of the gold so far is in the first 200 meters, right? And so for us, our goal here is to use the meters we have really to start stepping out along strike and expand this program, this resource, right? And take this from 900,000 ounces to 3 to 5 million ounces. One of the nicer things too is historically, look, the grade of the deposit, 1.5 grams, but they did that at 0.5 gram cutoff, right? Now you see projects, the current price of gold, 1/4 gram cutoff. So I think this is, for us, that's the goal here. Let's go step out, make more discoveries, and grow this thing to something you can get into production.
So let me ask, did you coin boring sexy or did you steal
Yeah,
that
yeah,
from
that's what. Yeah, yeah, that's. I mean, that's what it is, right? Like it's awesome. Like I think like everybody, it's everyone wants that sizzle, and you get so fired up, and you drill these very narrow, high grade intercepts, and then you get to Newfound Gold's the best example. They drilled 750,000 meters, come up with 1 million ounces. We've drilled 55,000 meters, and we have 1 million ounces. Like, which is more cost effective, and it's because it's very look, geology is not predictable, but as predictable as it can be, it's vanilla, right? As I said, you just keep drilling and you keep finding, and it's not that it's like, look, 2 grams here, 3 grams, and that's good. That means that's how you get a mine. You get lots and lots of gold.
I think that's a very unique story 'cause I think a lot of people drill holes and never find anything. So
Oh, and
maybe
that's it.
maybe it's not as boring as you think.
Well, and it's cool, right? Because we're planning out the drill program, going, okay, if we put a hole here, we should hit gold. If we put a hole here, we should hit gold. And often people say that when they're putting these things together, but with how much work's been done historically on this project, you can really start connecting the dots, and you can start really, stretching, stepping out, stretching out to your imagination. Where can this grow to? And it actually feels, because of the nature of the deposit, it feels real and achievable. So very cool. Yeah.
And what about mining in Quebec? What is it? So it's obviously a very mining friendly jurisdiction, has strong infrastructure and institutional support. How does being in Quebec like de-risk the project?
Well, the crazy thing is we actually had a mine adjacent to the property, just 10 kilometers from our main zone, producing as recently as 2019. They went to care and maintenance during COVID, when obviously gold prices were lower and it was a different market. Quebec is everything, right? I think it's a phenomenal jurisdiction. You see so much institutional support. It's one of the, it's very cool to be in Quebec with Quebec focused funds supporting Quebec projects. And so, for us, we have an office in Quebec now. We're doing everything we can to really make that our second home, or make that our home. My second home can be Vancouver. And that's just because it's such a mining friendly jurisdiction. Look, the Abitibi Greenstone belts produce over 200 million ounces of gold. This isn't as if we're in the middle of nowhere, stranded somewhere, and you're like, how do we ever get the gold out? This is a place that produces gold every day, every hour, every minute. And so being, we're near, we're right, the highway goes right off the property. We're very close to the towns, a lot of great infrastructure. I mean, that's what you want in a project.
Absolutely. And then not to mention record high gold prices must help this project immensely.
Well, the economics just get better and better, right? Look, they first started working this project very seriously in the 90s, and gold was
Yeah.
400 bucks an ounce,
Wow.
right? And the reason this sat dormant was 1.5 grams at $4, 400 bucks an ounce. it's good, but it's not good enough, right? And then Agnico was working on this in 2008. Gold's $800 an ounce. And again, you have to make tough decisions. The Great Recession happened in '08, and 2010s were a lost decade for a lot of companies. And this is the kind of project that would get put on the shelf. But the fact is, at the current gold price, this is in my view, what is could be an economic project, right? I think most majors would be happy to find a gram and a half at surface in a large deposit like this, and I think that's really what we're aiming to accomplish here with our program.
And one thing you said before is that the goal is to build a project majors want to acquire. What do you believe makes, this project stand out as a potential M&A target?
Location, obviously, number one. The fact that there's a ton of production in the area. Number two, just again, like the nature of the deposit being, the mineralization being right at the surface, very shallow within the first couple hundred meters. As I said, there was a mine literally adjacent to our project that closed in 2019. Um, you know, the size, the quality, just the predictability, boring, sexy, right? That's what you want when you're out there. Like the Madsen mine, which is now a part of West Red Lake. Great company. But why did they struggle? Is because they had very high grade skinny intercepts, and when they went looking for the gold, they couldn't find it. That's really the problem, right? When you have these very high sizzle projects, and mining a very narrow vein is difficult. But when you have gold everywhere, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it sounds like it ends shallow, it sounds like as well. Um,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, right at surface. So I mean, it's exactly right. I mean, that's again, like you don't. Some of these projects you got to drill 2, 3, 4, 500 meters to actually get to the good stuff. We're right there.
so as drilling commences, what are some of the near-term catalysts investors should be watching over the next 6 to 12 months?
Results, right? Because once we start, we're not going to stop. I mean, that's the nice thing about having such a big treasury is that once you start, you don't have to stop. And so for us, the focus is now going to be, look, how do we deploy these meters as smartly and as efficiently as possible? Our goal, the nice thing is, look, when you start out with the program, it's only 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters. Every meter counts. Not to say we're going to waste meters, with 15,000 meters budgeted, but the fact is, if you're drilling a 200-meter hole and you have only 2,000 meters, you only have 10 holes to play with, and you can't go for you got to be more careful with how you plan your holes, right? That's why often you see companies start 20 holes because end of the day, they focus on what's best in the short term rather than the long term of the project. With what we have, the budget we have, we can actually look at the project objectively and say, how do we grow this project? How do we build this into the next gold mine? And so, we've just started drilling with a view literally to do that. Our goal here is to use these meters, really see how much we can grow this. Because at the end of the day, look, a 1 million ounce deposit is a nice deposit, and if gold goes to $5,000, some people are saying, look, yeah, $6,000, yes, could be a mine even at the current size. But our view is that you need to have 3 million ounces um, to really make it a standalone project. And how we're going to accomplish that is by stepping out. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take some risks and really try to show everybody this can be a project.
So beyond the current drill program, does formation, do you envision it, the company evolving outside of a single asset company?
If there's an opportunity, for sure. I mean, one of the nice things is there are a lot of projects out there that are on the shelf where we're now able to assess them. Being established in Quebec with the partnerships we have, there's an opportunity always for us to go out and acquire another asset. I think obviously we do have the budget and the money needed to actually do justice to another project if we add another project, but it has to be at the right price, right? We were able to pick this project up, and I'll tell you the crazy thing is our entire payment just to acquire this project was $50,000 and 1 million shares,
Wow.
right? We're paying less than $1 an ounce to pick up this project, and so we want to pick. That's how you create value, right? You buy undervalued, underappreciated assets, and you bring them the proper love that they need. So if that situation arises, 100%. So, but we don't need another project for the sake of having the project. We got into.
And speaking of undervalued assets, I mean, the formation is pretty undervalued when it comes to its peers. Do you see any, major catalysts, changing the trajectory of the?
I think, well, honestly, results and just get out and tell the story and doing things like this, right? End of the day, look, we're trading, if you looked at the ounces in the ground historically, that's about $10 an ounce US, and that's very cheap compared to, where you see other companies today. And I think, getting the word out is a big part of it. I think also just results, right? End of the day, people are undervaluing us because they want us to see, have the company grow. And I think that's the reason why this company is there's an attractive value proposition. End of the day, we're funded to actually grow this project, to advance this project, and that's how you see a re-rate in the company's share price. I mean, you hope, right? Ultimately, that's really, I think, the biggest catalyst. And the more I can tell people the story, the more people understand the value we have and what the value proposition is. I think you'll see that value, the share price re-rate to what would be an appropriate valuation.
So what I'm hearing is you've got, an experienced team that has on the ground experience as well as capital markets experience. You've got a historic project that has, 900,000 ounces already, I guess, proven or results. High share price or high gold price and great location, and you guys are funded to drill ongoing to continue to expand the resource. Am I missing anything else that investors should know about?
No, I mean, other than, what, if anybody has any questions, reach out to me. My number is out there, my email's out there. I'm happy to talk to anyone anytime, tell the story. There are a lot of great opportunities out there. I'm an investor myself. I always look for who's running the company, how much money do they have, and what catalysts you're gonna have in the next 12 months. And I think we check off all the boxes. So I would encourage everyone to do their own due diligence and make, call me, send me an email, and let's talk.
Amazing. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for joining me, and I loved hearing about the story, and I can't wait for other people to discover it.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.